And this is the
Czech VZ60 pattern.
Czech VZ60 pattern. So this is in twilight mode. I'm going to switch, put the IR filter over, and it's a completely different pattern gauge. Okay, Gage, you've got a selection of weird looking garments for me to look at.
Most of it Eastern Bloc. So we've been looking at night vision lately, Tom.
Yeah.
We're going to do some articles on night vision helmets and aids, etc. Now, after World War II, when the Germans start using infrared big searchlights mounted on rifles and on half tracks, it becomes this thing that actually being able to see in the dark is a possible future warfighter sort of thing. Now we take it for granted. Right then it was like rocket science, it was groundbreaking. And most Western armies and most of the Eastern armies were scared that you'd have some way of seeing their troops at night. So everyone tried to counter it.
Okay.
So the first example we've got is, this is a cut down Soviet KLMK overall with the very weird looking but actually very effective stair step or sun buddy
really
camo
well in the
pattern.
daylight as well.
It's really good because it replicates light through trees a bit like Tiger Stripe does. People say it's computer generated, it's not. But what we're going to look at here is this very, very almost like herringbone houndstooth type design on the inside.
Yeah, okay.
And that was allegedly designed to confuse very early IR night vision.
Is this reversible?
It's reversible, and this is some sources will say that's the nighttime side.
Yeah.
Others will say it's for like lighter, more arid areas. But I can't see the point in that because it looks the same as the outside area in tone.
Yeah, okay.
So we can possibly see if using an IR illuminator, if it does get confused by these spots and dots.
We can hang this stuff in the trees and have a look.
Yeah, we can see if it works. So that's the first one we're going to look at. So it's going to move the next one now, which is a Czech combat jacket from the 1970s. Okay, Tom, this is a Czech combat jacket of the VZ60 Jellicoe or needles type pattern.
Wow.
So looking at it from where the guys on the camera can see, it just looks like East German raindrop.
Yeah, it does look,
But if you look very closely, and we might be able to show a close-up, you can almost see what looks like a watermark blotch made into the fabric.
Looks like it's been warehouse damaged or something.
Yeah, almost like leopard spots in water. So allegedly, again, when this is viewed under night vision, you can see it a little bit more on the inside, you can see that these IR treated dyes would make the jacket look like a bold green and black pattern. Now, why they didn't do, sorry, a fly just went past me then, why they didn't do a bold green and black pattern across the whole thing, which would be more effective,
and then just be done with it.
We don't know. But again, we'll try this at some point and see if that's actually visible using different forms of night vision.
Okay, what's next, Gage?
Okay, moving on. Okay, Tom, we're going to go back to the Soviet era again, and this is a brand new KZS suit, and I think you're quite familiar with these.
Oh yeah, mine's got a lot more. This is a lot more yellow, but the kind of dye patterns changed massively depending on who's making it.
Who made it. You can even see, look, it fades in bits because it wasn't the most consistent manufacturing process in the Soviet Union. Now, this bit of garment of clothing has so much folklore around it. Some people say it's a sniper suit. Some people say it replaces the KMK overall. Some people say it's a chemical warfare suit designed to go over the bright green rubber chemical suits, so you don't burn from the flash.
Yeah, okay.
And some people say it's thermally treated to resist infrared night vision.
Blokes just used to wear it on patrol.
Exactly, because it's breezy, it's like a tea bag.
And also when you're in Afghanistan, it's like...
Yeah. So again, we'll look at this and see, is it more effective at night than you'd expect? Because this is all quite primitive. We're talking IR treatment and dyes.
Yeah.
So that's all Warsaw Pact so far, but it wasn't just the East that was looking at it. Any fan of the Gulf War will know that there's a really funky night parka the Americans did, and we'll look at that next.
Well, I've just got one of these at the Midlands Airsoft Fair.
They're really Gucci now, aren't they?
I'm going to get it tailored into a proper smock, so I'm going to look super alley.
I mean, they're made huge because they're designed to go over your webbing and everything else, and the pockets are actually just slashes that go through to your internal pockets. Now, again, like with the Soviet idea, this whole grid pattern with blotches on is supposed to confuse early Soviet, early first generation night vision that used IR.
Yeah.
Again, we can check that. People say it's completely ineffective. That's probably why they no longer use it, and it's only saw service for a few years.
Yeah, but it's super cool.
Yeah, it looks great. You see people tailor it into sort of like U-back shirts and everything, don't you? But again, that's just looking at...
Is this actually IRR treated?
It should be.
It was when it was manufactured.
Exactly. Right, it may well have been washed. Now, with all this surplus, with the exception of the KZS suit, which I can guarantee has never been out of the factory, that could have been washed to the point where the IR dyes are irrelevant and no longer useful.
It's partly why there's so much, probably, allegedly, why there's so much UKSF contract cry in the UK. Yeah. Because after it's washed 3 or 4 times, it's then
funny enough,
no longer IRR.
the last thing I wanted to mention to you is I don't normally go out into the streets wearing a Crye shirt, but this is brand new.
Yeah.
Now it's either never been worn or washed, or I've been lied to.
Okay.
Because you can see by the label it's never been near a washing
Ah,
machine.
okay, yeah.
Now this should
What
be...
contract is it? Is it US or is it? Yeah, it could be. No, it's got Velcro. No, that's UKSF.
Yeah. So this has never been worn.
Yeah.
This should be using IR reflective dyes.
Yeah.
This shouldn't glow like other things do, whereas in comparison, these cheap Repro Vietnam trousers
We'll be able to see
should light
see
like a
the
beacon.
difference.
So if we can see the difference, if you view me
Yeah, it's
later on.
interesting because it's got the buttons. Well, it's got buttons here, which is generally a UK contract.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Oh my, you'd stand like a sore thumb in the desert.
In the desert, you'd be absolutely screwed, wouldn't you?
You'd pick that up a mile off, and even under IR, you glow. You've actually got the worst of both
That's
worlds.
awful. That's really bad.
You can see why the US Army discontinued that, can't you?
So the guys went, no,
Wow.
no.
I might not wear that for Milsims anymore.
I wouldn't wear that for Milsims, mate. That is terrible. That is so dark.